Namaskaram, Rattan ji.
It's a great honor, privilege and blessing for me to have audience with you. And the movement that you are taken up as a soul scientist, I could not expect any more God's blessing than that.
Seeing soil as an inert thing, inert material is something that's always been hurting me, so I thought we must drum it up really. People understand it's a living entity. We may go to different heavens, but we all come and go back to the same soil.
Yes, sir. But I think at present, the movement that we were just talking, Jyoti was informing me, I salute you for it. If there is anything I can do, it will be my honor and privilege to do it.
In another 25 years, simply having lost the knowledge of how to farm could be a serious issue by itself.
But Guruji, what you have done for Kaveri calling, if that could be done for all the river over time?
I feel if we come together, I feel in 12 to 20 years' time,
yes,
we can make it happen in a big way. I've been reading about your work a little bit. I'm glad somebody is giving a scientific language to the, wormy squeaks that I've been making. Namaskaram, Rattan ji. It's an honor to be speaking to you. You've spent a lifetime on doing this. I'm seeing how to drum it up a little bit.
It's a great honor, privilege and blessing for me to have audience with you. That's very kind of you. And the movement that you are taken up as a soul scientist, I could not expect any more God's blessing than that, what you are doing.
No, all of you, many of you, yourself and many of you have worked for a lifetime on this, but unfortunately, people are not conscious about it, so I'm seeing how to drum up what all of you have done, dedicating a whole lifetime to make this happen. And above all, seeing soil as an inert thing, inert material is something that's always been hurting me, so I thought we must drum it up really. People understand it's a living entity.
Thank you for your vision on this. Soil indeed is a living entity. And I have many times mentioned that soil is the only site in the universe at the root-soil interface which has the divine power to resurrect death into life. That is where death is from.
That's very uncanny, sir. Almost 2 years ago, I wrote a poem where in the poem I said 2 lines, if I remember right, something like, the magic of soil is that it turns death into life. These 2 lines are from one of my poems.
I like to read that.
Saying that, I'll ask them to send it to you.
Please do, and I will send to your staff my article in which I compiled how different religions of the world, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, they have indicated the importance of soil as a protector of life.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if we look at commonality among different religions of the world, this is it.
Yes.
This is the common thing.
We may go to different heavens, but we all come and go back to the same soil.
Yes, sir. But I think at present, the movement that we were just talking, Jyoti was informing me that you have started in India about afforestation. This is exactly what is needed throughout the world. Right now, we have a global warming issue, and if we can find an alternative fossil fuel, solar, for example, in India, or hydro, or geo, or bio, whatever other alternative, and at the same time recarbonize the terrestrial biosphere through soil and tree establishment and soil, then the climate warming to less than 2 degrees centigrade is still possible.
Very much possible, sir.
Very much
keep
possible.
telling people, see, if you don't understand the complexity of what is climate change and all this, just stand for 1 hour in hot tropical sun,
Yes.
then go under a tree, you know what is climate change. That's what every life is expecting.
Exactly. I grew up in Haryana, Punjab area, and my father was a farmer. I exactly know in June, July, where the temperature used to be 45 degrees Celsius and more under shade. And so it can be real. So, sir, if there is anything I could help in the good cause that you have, not only for India, my motherland, of course, but throughout the world, I'll be delighted. I just wanted to mention I have the pleasure of working with Mr. Gore. I visited his farm. He invited me, and I had the honor. He picked me up from the airport and took me to his farm, and we discussed. And he's very much in this subject of soil restoration. And we talked about why the flood drought problem exists throughout South Asia, from Afghanistan all the way to Cambodia. And I mentioned to him that the cause is the deforestation of the lower Himalayas, Shivalik hills, all the way from Afghanistan through Cambodia. So the Indus River, Ganges, Brahmaputra, even Yangtze, which originate from the Tibetan Plateau, and these many other rivers which originate from there, they all have the same problem because of the denudation of the hills. So eventually the solution to climate and water and biodiversity crisis is afforestation and agroforestry, conservation agriculture, and respecting Mother Nature. Agriculture has to be pro-nature and pro-farmer, so that the farmers are rewarded, respected, and promoted, compensated properly. And you have started this movement, I learned in 2002. One, I salute you for it. Second, I hope it can be adopted globally. And third, I hope if there is anything I can do, it will be my honor and privilege to do it.
Sir Rattanlalji, one important thing that I was very clear about is talking to a farmer who is, desperately trying to make a living about ecology, saving the planet, climate change. I feel it's very obscene to even talk to a hungry man like that. So I always have been promoting this as an economic plan for the farmer with a significant ecological impact. You use the word agroforestry. Well, we started with that, but then I found in terms of laws in India, once you call it forestry, it goes under forest ministry, which means it's all about restrictions. There is no approach. So we renamed it as tree-based agriculture, which has worked very, very well. And economically, it's working out so well for the farmer. Every 12 years, in cutting some part of the timber, he's getting that much money that he would get only if he sold the land.
Excellent.
So he has sold the land every 12 years and also keeping the land. This is the, really miraculous thing for him. So they have learned to invest money in a better way, and they get a lump sum once in 12 years, rest of the time they're doing farming, and the soil quality has improved, water tables have come up, nutrition levels have gone up. In most farms, they suddenly find it's a pleasure to work. Otherwise, in a tropical climate, in a treeless land, to work in open spaces, in brown land, is so hard and heartbreaking. They find it's so much better. They're seeing that their women and children are looking forward to come to the farm because it's in shade and there are birds and, things are happening. And we have taught them how they can prune the trees effectively to fertilize the soil by chipping it and putting it back into the thing. And we have found in some farms where they did aggressively, we have found in about 2 to 2.5 years, 1% organic content improvement. But those who gave rest to the land, like one aggressive way of doing it, what I am looking at is, suppose you have 10 acres, 5 acres you do the regular farming what you're doing. 5 acres in a tropical climate in India, southern India, we can grow 6 crops if you're not planning to take yield. Six crops, like every 50 days like that, you take it and chop it up and put it back into the soil, put it back into the soil. Within 1 year, we are touching organic content. I mean, we cannot say it's organic content because it's still on the surface of the soil, but no-till agriculture is possible at the end of 12 months. This is what I've seen. So what I'm asking from the government is subsidies to do this kind of activity, limited period, not forever. Just for 1 or 2 years, you give this subsidy for those who enrich the soil, for those who preserve the soil for ourselves and for the future. They must be rewarded in some way. And once they realize the economic value of it, all these things won't be necessary.
This is absolutely correct. The tree-based agriculture combined with no-till, as you mentioned, Sadhguruji, I call it conservation agriculture together. And if they sequester carbon in the biomass and the trees, then they should be compensated. And what I have been proposing here in the US, and I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Vilsack, Secretary of Agriculture. I met him in Des Moines in October. And I've been recommending $35 per credit of carbon. $35 per credit is 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So farmer in tree-based agriculture could practically sequester 4 credit per acre.
Oh, okay.
So 4 credit per acre, that'd be $140. So you can multiply by 70 or whatever.
If you can get us something like that, we will plant millions of acres.
This is the way to do it, where growing carbon in land, in tree and soil is another crop, commodity like wheat and milk and grains, chickpea, which can be sold and create an income stream for farmers. But we must pay them properly according to the societal value. That carbon, what the benefit it is doing for the humanity as a whole, mitigating climate change, restoring water quality, renewability, improving biodiversity, increasing soil health, reducing the need for chemical input. For all that, farmers should be compensated and respected. And that's the price which I think is a fair and just. If government could do that, I would salute Prime Minister, and especially he has made a pledge for India to be emission neutral by 2070. There is no other option except to do what you have been recommending. Tree-based agriculture, conservation.
So right now, what we have done is, it took me 7.5 years to get some policy changes done. In Karnataka, for example, in the meantime, 3 state governments changed. We had to restart everything once again every time a government changes. But in spite of that, we got this change. One thing is, the laws were such that if you plant a tree on your own land and grow it, and one day when you want to use it, if you cut it, you could be arrested for that, and activists will come and protest. So, this is the reason why no farmer wants to plant a tree, because tree is trouble. So we got these laws changed. The Environment Ministry has now set up a digital platform where, let us say, a 2-year-old tree, you can sell it after 12 years.
Okay.
So every year, based on the growth, they will get small payments for the tree. At the time of selling, they will get more money out of it. So also we got 125 rupees per tree as a subsidy spread over 4 years, a growth-related thing. We have geocoded every tree, and every year they have to take a picture of the tree and post it to their account. Then only the money will come to their bank account. So this is a seamless system that's happened. Because of this, millions of farmers are going for it. You use the word agroforestry. What I see is, in India, the pressure on land is such that you know better than anybody else, that even if a 1-inch thick tree is somewhere, somebody will cut it and take it because it's useful for him. In some way, he will use it. So it has to be an economic process, otherwise it'll not work. So we are also talking to forest departments that, if, for example, in Karnataka, around Bangalore city, we are working on this. First in the installment of 7,000 acres they have promised, where we will grow trees for the forest department. But these trees cannot be cut, but goat rearing and other thing can be done by taking the foliage down to some extent.
Yes.
See, if you don't completely block the grazers, they will go and set fire to the whole thing. They'll do something because they need the land to graze, because there are no grazing lands anywhere. So we said, you can use the foliage, but you cannot cut the tree. I think we have to negotiate and bring that on. We are working on that right now.
Excellent. And I hope this, rather than for one or two states, it can be for throughout the country in India. There is another related point, if I may have the permission. I do not know how much time I have no time limit,
No,
but
sir.
you and your staff have to advise me. What I wanted to mention was India has 200,000 brick making kilns.
Mhm.
And this brick making kiln is a big employment opportunity. 12 million people are employed. And India makes 250 billion bricks every year. This is produced from taking the topsoil, 1 meter,
Yeah.
and make brick.
Very
Now,
destructive that is.
they have to take the topsoil, but somewhere I would like to mention that it took hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years to make that 1 meter of topsoil.
Yes.
So India should be thinking about how to make construction material from other sources as well. And if the brick making is required, which obviously is, in each district they can identify some barren lands which can be dig deeper and deeper, like we are mining clay, rather than scalping the topsoil from everywhere. I think
That's very true, sir. Now, in most of the cities, the city construction has all moved to cement blocks, either hollow cement blocks or full-on cement blocks. Most of the urban construction has moved. You will rarely see any brick construction going on. But in small towns and in villages, still brick is being used.
Yeah, I think that I hope this will spread throughout. Not only that, there are some other material, not only cement block, but for example, rice husk. It can be used for brick making with some purification. Color, of course, obviously, of the brick would be very important. But some alternate fly ash is another option where the brick making could be made. So we have to promote this concept as well. The other part, malnutrition issue in India. We have 190 million people, recent estimate, because of COVID-19 problem, which are hungry. But we have almost 64 million children which are malnourished and underweight, and 54% of women 15 to 50 age anemic. So malnutrition. So healthy diet has to come from healthy soil. And I was at the committee for the UN Food System Summit, and I have been recommending one health concept. And one health concept is health of soil, plants, animal, people, environment, and the planet is one and indivisible. So
it cannot be separated, no way.
So we should promote that concept. Eventually, with a healthy soil, we'll produce healthy diet, and will produce everything, environmental health. So I have been hoping that with people like light of God's blessing, with people like you from India, there should be children's education book depicting these education views that you have in those children's book. So they get those ideas from day one, where the good food comes from, what are its ecosystem services. So a children's latter book, Kaka or whatever they study, Aleph Bay or whatever language they want to study, should be based on philosophy concepts such as you have. So that they will learn from the very beginning. So we need to bring up this revolution based on this idea of pro-nature agriculture right from the beginning to children. So somewhere I hope you will also give audience to the Minister of Education to
Yes,
make
sir,
sure that
we are doing that.
so that these ideas of pro-nature agriculture, that agriculture is the really solution to all the issues, would be very...
One important concern that's, really dangerous, and we are moving in that direction is, we have done some, a simple kind of survey of different areas. What we find is, not even 2% of the farming community want their children to go into farming.
Oh, that's sad.
So in another 25 years, simply having lost the knowledge of how to farm,
Yes, yes.
could be serious issue by itself.
I have been mentioning respect of the agriculture profession has gone, has disappeared. So somewhere we have to restore the respectability of the profession itself. Imagine when a graduate has a degree in MBA or IT services versus in agriculture, the difference in their salary is several factors.
Mm,
And I think this need to be addressed.
very much.
Education of agriculture, education of natural resources, protection of environment should be very critical, and the Minister of Education should realize that unless you give respect to the most basic of profession, agriculture, food, this will not happen.
Yes, very important. And without economic remuneration,
Yes.
trying to push a profession to anybody is not going to work.
So the farmer should be respected, compensated, and those who study agriculture, we must attract best and brightest in the profession, in farming as well as in the other services that the farming requires. So maybe you will also visit, hopefully, with Minister of Agriculture or the Secretary of there, Dr. Mahapath.
I just met Mr. Tomar last week, sir, when I was in Delhi just for this purpose. So I met him and I put these ideas to him. He is very much in tune, and agriculture is a state subject. So we are trying to push with individual states. One thing we have done is, with the Kaveri calling being a very successful process, the previous environment minister, on the same lines as Kaveri calling, he made 13 detailed project reports for 13 river basins. I feel working on river basins is a good way to go because that's where India's agriculture really is. So these 13 river basins cover almost 67% of the India's agricultural lands. So if that happens, in many way India would be above the crest. But still execution is there, at least plan is there, but that's one step. But still execution needs to happen.
But Guruji, what you have done for Kaveri calling, if that could be done for all the river over time, obviously it will take time, but we must start and plan on that, afforestation…
Sir, what I'm saying is it need not take time, it's just that everybody who is concerned, we've all been working individually and not. I feel if we come together, making this happen in the policy, if it happens, it need not take too much time. I feel in 12 to 20 years' time, we can make it happen in a big way.
You are right. 10 to 20 years is the correct period time. And we have example, the so-called the Lust Plateau of China, which I had visited in this early 80s, 81 to be exact, and 78 before that. It was devastating, and in 85, they adopted what you are proposing, afforestation. And the rivers, the gully erosion has stopped, river water flow has become perennial, organic matter content has increased, productivity has increased. We need to repeat that all river basins in India.
Sir, I'm not a scientist like you, sir, I'm just a worm who's crawled on this planet and I know it from my little experience.
You are the limelight, you are the ray of hope, and I think we need more people like you. And this message, again, sir, I will plan on being in Delhi on 5th of June.
Oh, it'll be a privilege and wonderful. Please, if you… we will send you a proper official invite very soon.
Yes.
Don't try to support me, it's not needed. It's just that 100 days, all of us talk about soil. It is not about me, it is not about you. This is our planet, we have to do it now, this is a generational responsibility. If we don't fulfill this, we will regret this very seriously.
I'll be with you on that, you're spreading that message, and give you all the scientific support that I can provide.
That'll be fantastic, sir. And we look forward to your support. I'm having some media engagements in US, after that I'm in Caribbean. So I spoke to the CARICOM, they have a kind of an organization called CARICOM, which is an economic forum kind of thing for all the Caribbean countries. 11 countries are in this. Yes. So 9 of these 11 countries are signing an MOU with us for a soil policy document that we have put forth, which is mainly about this. At the same time, they are coming through and we are saying we will also handhold you with a few, scientifically competent people to help them through for about 24 months. I said, we will take care of this.
Yes.
So your advice will
Please,
be…
you may mention to them, there's a program called LISOM, Living Soils of the Americas. There are small farmers, especially in Haiti and other countries, and they are really resource poor. I will certainly communicate today that there are 17 million small farmers in the Latin America region and the Caribbean, that we call LAC region. And like India, most of our farmers are small farmer, 1 hectare. Similarly, less than 2 hectare are in the Caribbean region as well. And there are 570 million small farmers throughout the world. And our goal through this Living Soil program, in which we promote that soil is a living entity, it has a rights like any other living entity has right, and the right is to be protected, restored, so that it can thrive and flourish and support planetary processes and humanity.
Most important, that sensitivity
This
comes
will be an
into…
excellent. We will work with you and your foundation.
It's most important that this sensitivity comes into every human heart. Otherwise, we are not going in the right direction for sure. So thank you extremely, thank you for you're a wonderful person giving this time, and also above all, I've been reading about your work a little bit and it's fantastic. I'm glad somebody is giving a scientific language to the, wormy squeaks that I've been making. It's the same ideas but properly put in a scientific language. I truly appreciate what you have done, your entire life dedicated to this.
Thank you.
We will do our best to see that your vision in some way manifests in the next few years.
Thank you, sir. And I look forward to visiting with you in Delhi. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Namaskaram. Namaskaram. Thank you.